This portion of the CU podcast is brought to you by RetroSoft Studios, which is bringing wrestling fans what they've been waiting for. And that's Wrestlemania Wrestling. It's an upcoming spiritual successor to the classic arcade game WrestleFest, which we all love, that was released by Technos of Japan in 1991. Wrestlemania Wrestling will be a pick-up-and-play arcade wrestling game with beautiful 2D sprites. You love the sprite work, Ian.
I do, and we'll have 12 to 16 unique, distinct playable wrestlers at launch, and they're hoping to add more post-launch via DLC. Hawk and Animal of the Road Warriors have been announced. Tommy Dreamer, Austin Idol, Zack Sabre Jr., and just announced Blue Meanie and the Blue World Order, which is actually pretty great.
That's cool. It's cool to see them in a game like that.
It is, especially officially. There'll be multiple entrance attires for each wrestler. Players will be able to play as Tommy Dreamer, compete for the House of Hardcore Television Championship, and the House of Hardcore Arena will be in the game. There'll be multiple match types: one-on-one, tag team, steel cage, and battle royale, and 2 to 8 player local multiplayer.
Oh, that'd be great for a battle royal. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be fun. Ring entrances with entrance music, strategic gameplay that's easy to pick up and play, beautiful 2D pixel art animated sprites with over 700 frames of animation and animated backgrounds.
Nice.
Crowd chants.
Crowd chants during those big moves. That's great.
Yep.
And they're going to add more features. So this is in development still. It's going to come out targeting first quarter 2020 on the PC. You can follow along with the game's development at retrosoftstudios.com, or you can also follow on Twitter at retrosoftstudio. Leave that last S off.
Yes.
There. And it looks fun. It has that arcade gameplay style that I love. WrestleFest. There hasn't been a true spiritual successor to WrestleFest. They tried, and WWE, and it did not go over well. So I'm looking forward to this for sure.
I'm ready to give this a shot.
So WrestleMania 35. It's been 5 years since Daniel Bryan won at WrestleMania 30. We were watching it. It's 5 years.
Yeah, I was
thinking
that. It's also been 5 years.
Which is one of the best WrestleManias I've seen. That WrestleMania 30 was fantastic.
30? Really? It was all right.
It was in the top 5 or 6 for me. I'm not saying it was the best, but it was up there.
I feel like we haven't had a WrestleMania that's lived up to the hype since.
Not to 30. Oh, no, we haven't.
No.
We not just for surprises and for, I think for pomp and circumstance, we have not. We've hit sort of a lull.
Yeah.
And that's what I can say with this WrestleMania has been what I say the last 3 or 4 have been, where it's been formula. There hasn't been anything that's surprising or that you got wowed at like we have in the past.
Well, my buddy Adam, who I watched most of it with, even said within I think after we came in halfway through a match, and afterwards, they were showing the arena and whatnot, and he goes immediately, he's like, this looks small for a WrestleMania. And even when you pan out and you saw the top of MetLife, it seemed like a smaller production as well.
Production, but there still was 80,000 people there.
Sure.
But you're saying that production-wise, it looked smaller.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't...
It seemed like it was not on the cheap, but it was at the budget WrestleMania?
Yeah, it was a budget WrestleMania.
I wonder if that's something to do with it. I wonder if they still had fireworks and stuff. They bring pyro. They don't have pyro. They haven't had pyro for years now on Raw or SmackDown, but they bring it back for WrestleMania. You have to. You have to do that. You think that's what it was? It just seemed like it was a little bit... If I was in New Jersey still living there, I would have been there. I saw WrestleMania... the one with Benoit they don't speak of at WrestleMania 20. I was there in 2004, 15 years ago. I saw him win. So that was funny because back then there was no pomp and circumstance even still.
Right.
It was just they had pyro. That was at MSG. MSG does not hold a huge amount of people, but the excitement that you felt for that event was palpable. With almost every single match was huge. That was the Benoit triple threat. And we were hot for that. I don't talk about it anymore. That was a huge match.
Yeah.
Lesnar versus Goldberg was a huge match, even though the execution wasn't there.
Right.
The buildup was huge to that. Even Guerrero versus Angle at that event was a big match. It was like, these are big.
Which one?
Guerrero versus Angle.
Yeah.
Guerrero retained the title
against
Angle. These felt all like big matches. These were wow. Any one of these matches should headline a pay-per-view, and now you had 3 or 4 of them, and I'm forgetting the other ones went on then, but I'm telling you, those are the highlights of that night. And when you looked at this card, you're like,
some of that looked like they were matches that would have been on SmackDown.
Yes, we can run through these, and
I mean, just continue. I mean, that's not to say anything about the workers.
It's not saying no, it's not.
But literally, some of those matches just felt like a continuation of a SmackDown episode with no payoff or nothing. It was just continuing. I don't know.
So on the kickoff show, I missed the kickoff show, but you had a women's battle royal. Carmella won. Okay, fine. You had a cruiserweight match. They don't have the cruiserweights on SmackDown or Raw anymore. They have it totally divorced. So. I haven't been keeping up with that. But then you have like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which the whole buildup has been Braun Strowman going after the SNL guys. So you knew what direction that was going. So unlike the good thing about the Battle Royal in the past is that you didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah.
You didn't know Cesaro was going to win. You know, they did nothing with them after that.
Yep.
With the push. Mojo Rawley won a couple of years ago, which I questioned, but because they got Gronk involved, so I was like, okay, whatever. At least you didn't know it was coming.
Right.
They had the Big Show win just because the Big Show's been around forever. It's like, okay. But this year you knew Braun Strowman was going to win it. And you knew it was going to be a centerpiece for the SNL shit. But it didn't play, like, the payoff wasn't there for it, though.
Right.
Like, you have all these other wrestlers in the ring. It's like, this is why we're here. All the other 20 guys.
Yeah, it was just window dressing. There was never a question as to what that finish was going to be. So, yeah, it was. People always talk about wrestling is fake. It's still fun to watch when you don't know what the ending.
It's scripted.
It's scripted.
We didn't know how a scripted entertainment's going to end. Then you
but
go.
When you do, especially in something like this where the action is supposed to be part of what you're watching, the struggle, it doesn't mean anything.
Because Braun Strowman winning this doesn't elevate his character anymore. He's already a huge guy. It's supposed to help someone else. Like, it helps Cesaro. In theory, it helped Baron Corbin when he won it. I think it was the first winner a few years ago, 3-4 years ago. So in theory, it's supposed to help these people. Like the way the King of the Ring used to help these wrestlers. This doesn't do anything. This is a waste of that event.
Yeah.
Because someone surprised and beat Braun Strowman, and then maybe he fights Braun Strowman like some random mid-card. Like, okay, this is interesting. It's not interesting.
And it's also a key example of just WWE screwing stuff up, because there's no reason Braun Strowman should have dropped back down to the pregame battle royale.
Yeah, I think that was the first match to kick it off, the event.
Oh, okay.
That was on the main card. I believe it was.
No,
that was a pre-card?
Yeah, that's always the headliner of the pre-card.
Oh, then that's bullshit, because Braun Strowman has been huge now for like a couple of years. Yeah. He should have been champion already.
Yep.
So then you go into the Seth Rollins beat Lesnar in about 2 minutes. They fought outside the ring for a couple minutes. Braun Strowman threw him around, ragdolled him. Rollins' back looked beat up from a couple of the spots. And then it was a 2-minute match. He low-blowed him. I don't have a problem with that. Everyone knew Lesnar was leaving. They've said it. You know, Heyman's basically alluded that they're leaving to go to Vegas, which is UFC.
Yeah.
Which is happening. He's going to fight Daniel Cormier, which could be Daniel Cormier's last match. That's going to be a huge event. It was fine. Good way to kick off the show. I'm surprised they put it first. I just am. A match that quick, but the crowd was hot for it. And it took 3 curb stomps, or they call it the blackout now, to beat Lesnar. It's fine. Bye. Okay, so we'll see you, Lesnar. But the issue with this is that the payoff was fine for this.
Sure.
But now this is endemic of what the spot that WWE has put themselves in the last 3 years, is that the only guys they've really pushed as legit champions were Roman Reigns, which didn't go over, and Lesnar. The problem is that Lesnar only has been on, doing matches about once a quarter.
Yeah.
Like 4 a year. That's hard to build the company around storyline-wise when you have one of your brands, Raw, not have the champion around. And they've acknowledged that. Rollins has said, I'll be around and find a champion. But the point is now you have Rollins leading it forward, and Rollins is a great worker. He could do that to an extent, but he shouldn't have been the only one now. There should have been guys built up the last few years. There should have been Ziggler built up, as you said. There should have been Bray Wyatt built up. Now there's a vacuum of main eventers.
Yeah,
I can't
even think about who you really...
Ambrose is leaving. He's gone. You have Reigns left, but he's not a heel character. So, people have to step up. But the problem is they haven't built the pathway for these guys to get to the main event. They haven't. Balor's been in the mid-card hell after his one-day run as Universal Champion a few years ago. And then he just got the IC title. But, he should have been... They're all in the mid-card.
Yeah.
Or even upper. There's no one else really that's main event ready.
Basically, they just have no idea how to work their divisions.
But they have it. They've let Lesnar and Reigns, like 2 guys, sort of dominate it for so long that you can't do that for years and years.
Right.
And then guys like Cena are now semi-retired, so they're gone. They can't rely on them. So, but this is the situation you're in, and that's for both brands, which we'll get into.
Yeah,
you have Daniel Bryan who's been a fantastic fucking heel. I never thought that.
No, he's been a great heel, and I mean, this was we'll get to. Well, we should.
We'll get through it. Okay, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. The buildup was great on SmackDown because it was basically like, oh, you're just the indie guy. And while you're an indie guy, I was here doing it when I was like 22. And AJ Styles is like, you never had to earn it. You were given this. It was interesting going back and forth. It actually was. The match, though, wasn't that interesting. It was a standard Randy Orton match. And Randy Orton's not a bad worker at all. He can put together an entertaining match. But Randy Orton never seems to have that fourth gear.
He's a solid B+ player.
No, he is the B+ player.
Yeah.
Because he'll put together a match that probably won't ever really disappoint to that level or be bad, but you're never like, holy shit, Orton did that, or they worked something interesting. It's the same formula.
Yeah.
And so Styles won that clean. It was a good match, I thought, but not. It was a standard. Like I said, it was a standard match.
Right.
It was standard. Then you led into the 4-way tag team title match, which unfortunately has been the way the last few years, where they throw all the tag teams in with no real interesting angles, just throw them all together and have them fight in a 4-way, and it's fine.
It's miserable, and it's not fine. It sucks.
Well, the matches are fine, but there's no build up to them. Besides, the build up is all the teams face each other the month before in various That's the build up. But they have been pushing Aleister Black and Ricochet, who are great, up from NXT as a tag team. But the Usos retained. And Black and Ricochet have been on both brands, by the way. They've been doing something weird. They're pushing them as much as they could on both. But the got over. The crowd loves them. They're both good. Ricochet's amazing. Falls count anywhere. Shane McMahon defeated The Miz. It was fine. Fine, street fight. Falls count anywhere. You had the Shane bump that looked dangerous, where he went on the golf cart top and fell like that. I don't like seeing this stuff. I keep saying it every year. He's older and older, and he's going to get really hurt, or he does. I just don't like it. But this is what they do every year with Shane. They turn Shane heel just so he can do this.
Just so he can get hit, yeah.
Just get hit. And then it ended with a superplex. You see that? And then Shane.
Yeah, that's where I came in.
You want to talk about the women's tag match?
It was awful, just like the men's one. I'm sorry, I don't find them even. I don't find them fine. You have no flow with 4 people tag matches if there's no story that's been built up over time. Everyone gets in the ring, does a couple spots,
get their shit in, right,
and then that's it. So it's disheartening because most of the women who are in that match are great. And there's the Iconics.
Well, I would argue that Nia Jax and Tamina aren't great.
No, they're not great. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're not great at all. No, I'm thinking of the two.
Jax is borderline dangerous still.
There was a glimpse where it was mostly Sasha, Bayley, Phoenix, Natalia, and that should have been what it was.
Just those two. Yeah.
Fucking whip together an angle in a month. Give them a reason to fight and at least have a good match instead of having a bunch of horse shit. That's like I couldn't even watch it. Like it was hard to follow. They had 4 tag teams up, but they only started 2 women in the middle. Like it's.
And then the Iconics, I'm not shocked they put the titles on them because they've been their chemistry between the two is great. And their promos are pretty good. And their looks are good. Their work is not good in the ring.
It's bad.
It's really bad. It's the diva level shit we had like 15 years ago.
Yes. Where
you could barely it was like they were almost afraid of hitting each other because their models doing it, but they weren't trained enough anyway. So and that's a shame because like I said, maybe they could be good, but they're not ready for it. So I'm kind of surprised they did that. But I'm not sure if this is leading to how Sasha Banks has been reportedly very disappointed behind the scenes and how she's been used. I'm sure Bayley isn't thrilled either, but this doesn't help it. Obviously.
Well, and that's why I feel like they threw the belts on the Iconics is because the Iconics was the only tag team there that is actually like
they're a real team.
Yeah, that it wasn't just thrown together, within the past month for WrestleMania. They are a team. It's not just okay, we're gonna put these 2 together and these 2 and these 2.
Sure. The WWE Championship match, which was one of the bigger highlights on the show to me. I'm looking at 401 Mania's Zonka review giving it 4.5 stars. I would not have put it that high. I did enjoy it, but I still was disappointed that this was the big payoff match. It was an interesting heel ground grappler grounding the high flyer. Here's the issue with doing a match like that. You don't usually see that in WWE. The fans weren't expecting that sort of match.
Right.
Where it was more, especially for a main event match, where ground-based, more technical, Brian trying to keep submissions on.
They used a lot of psychology, and they used it well. Where I think they faltered was usually when a match starts with a lot of that, there's still a pretty...
There's still crescendos, and
they build a pretty good head of steam to the finish. It was a good match, and we did get some fast exchanges and some excitement in there. And like I said, the psychology was good and the storytelling was good, but it never blew up. The match never had that. I don't know. There was never that matchlet that threw it into the final 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's probably the issue is that someone like Brian can do these matches in his sleep, because that's what he did in the indie. Someone like Kofi Kingston is probably not used to these sort of matches too. So even if they laid it out well, what I saw a lot in this match was Kofi getting ground down a lot. Kofi trying to make a comeback and Brian squashing it, which is fine. But there wasn't a lot of Kofi counters I thought that were interesting in the middle part, where it was, to me, it was sort of just like constantly ground down. It was a 24-minute match. They probably could have shaved it a bit.
Shave 4 minutes of the middle.
4, 5, 6 minutes, and it probably would have been a better version of it.
And that's the other thing. It was, for the length, it didn't have, I guess, the build.
Peaks and valleys and things like that.
If you had pulled the 4 minutes out in the middle, 5 minutes in the middle, and truncated it, the flow of the match would have made a lot more sense.
The last 4 minutes or so were good.
The whole thing was good. It was just, it wasn't
that Mania main event match. I think that's what I get back to. It wasn't that this is the big payoff match too, because this is a reversal of where Daniel Bryan was. Here's the interesting part about this: they were brought dragging, kicking, and screaming to push Bryan. With Kofi, at least they did the right thing and propelled it. But the only problem was that with Bryan, it was such a huge buildup over a year. We're oh my God, we want to see this guy. With Kofi, it's been a good 3-month sprint. I almost wish that they recognized that in the fall a lot earlier and did it. Because then the payoff, it was a good payoff. The crowd loved it, but
I was happy, and it was. I like seeing the happy moments where you can tell that the act bleeds into real life. I like seeing his kids run in, him and his friends, and
it was. I hate to bring up the Benoit thing. It was a Benoit sort of thing. This guy's been here forever. We give him the title.
I was joking with my friend Adam, not really joking, but I said if this was Attitude Era or WCW era, or if this was booked just slightly worse, or if it wasn't them, those two would have been turning on Kofi after the match. I was actually
you were expecting it.
I was worried that was going to happen, and I
think Big E will still turn on him at some point.
Right,
you have to, because it's the same sort of thing. It's now who does Kofi face? Someone has to step up, or the void has to be filled on. Well, they're going to do the superstar shakeup next week and rejigger the rosters.
Yeah,
but they're probably going to keep the New Day together as a tag team. You have to. That's their identity. But like I said, people have to step up.
Yeah,
there's a big void now of main event talent that there hasn't been probably in a long time at this point. U.S. Championship match: Samoa Joe defeating Rey Mysterio in a minute. It was a squash match. I don't know if Rey was injured. I think there was reports that he could have been a little gimpy. I'm not positive about that, but then I feel it's terrible just because that would be a great match, a good 10-minute match.
That's what bothered me. It came up and I was like, I forgot about this. And Adam and I were like, oh, sweet. So we, literally we're talking. We walk over to the kitchen, we get a drink, and we hear the match end. And we were ready to settle into it. We were real excited too because it was Booker T's guest announcing.
Oh, that's right.
And we miss Booker, so
because Harlem Heat got into the Hall of Fame, which they deserved. Yeah.
So
yeah, maybe it was a combination of that and the fact that maybe the championship match ran over. But I'll argue, and we'll get to this in a second, there was a lot of other matches they could have shaved time off of than this.
Yep, absolutely.
You want to say even a 5-minute sprint, I would have been fine with. Not a minute squash match. That's just not acceptable. And I feel bad for Samoa Joe. It's first WrestleMania, and this is what he gets. Samoa Joe is going to be a main eventer. They have to. He was ready before. a couple of injuries sort of sideline him. He's a guy that got to push as the big heel main eventer.
Yeah,
he's like the Brock Lesnar that will be around. The big killer that you see as a legit killer. Okay, Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. It was fine.
I actually thought it was pretty
fine.
decent. Coming off of,
it was a good build up. McIntyre takes out the rest of the Shield. He beats up Rollins. He beats up Ambrose. He beats up Reigns when he comes back. It was fine. I understand Reigns coming back off of battling leukemia, so they're going to have him win. But McIntyre's, again, he's the other guy's going to... Him and Samoa Joe are probably the two main heels that emerge on both brands. I'm calling it one on one in the other to be like the main event heels. There's no one really else on top of my head that could do it. And McIntyre's been great.
It was a refreshingly...
It was fine.
It was a refreshingly fine match.
It was fine. And it was 11 minutes. It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
Now, the Batista Triple H match. I zoned out. I'm sorry. I can't watch these Triple H WrestleMania 25-minute matches that are just hardcore matches. I can't do it.
What story does he think he's telling?
I don't know what. I mean, but to me, this could have just been a grudge match, 12-minute regular match, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
They tried. The problem with these Triple H matches, it's a vanity thing every year now where he's got to fight someone. It's got to be a big thing with the sledgehammer's got to come out. Dude, you're 50 years old. Let's just do it. You're still in good shape, but just do like a 12-minute match for your ego. You don't need a 25-minute match. It's boring as fuck. It's just boring.
Right, and that's the thing. It's not even like...
And the build-up was good. The build-up was really good.
And it's not even like on a technical level, it's awful. It's just boring.
It's just boring.
It's just boring as fuck.
It's just plotting.
If you took that match again and you shrunk that match down to 12 minutes and you gave some of that time to
Samoa Joe
and Mysterio, we could have had a quick good match there, and we could have had a watchable Triple H match. But 28 minutes is forever.
This was the review said, well, that sucked. It was slow, glacially slow. There was no energy, and the crowd didn't really react to anything. Time for Triple H to stop being an in-ring performer following last year's shit matches, and now this one. But Triple H has to work his epically long matches that have no emotional investment. The plunger didn't even help.
Well, and that was the thing. Like, it didn't seem like anyone was really invested in either of them.
Which is, because the build-up was great, I thought. People loved Hollywood Bautista coming back. And this is what they do.
I don't even think it's on Batista, to be honest with you.
No, he hasn't wrestled a match in 5 years.
Yeah.
He hasn't been around. Since he left shortly after WrestleMania, a few weeks over, he said, I quit. And that's it with that. Okay. Yeah, that Angle versus... And I was getting to this. The ordering of these matches was strange.
Yes.
I thought it was strange to put the Kofi match so early. I'm not saying that should be... Because the crowd was mostly dead after the Kofi match, rightfully so. But that's why you got to put it. I know they wanted the women's match to be last, but you can't put the Kofi match that early. Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. It was fine. It was what it was. It was exactly what I expected it was. Angle was gonna go out on his back. Angle's he can barely wrestle that well anymore, So it's a 5-minute match, and Corbin wins. After he tried to do a moonsault, and I was like, please don't do the moonsault. I was like, please don't do the moonsault, Kurt. And he did the moonsault. And then, he gets finished at the end with End of Days. And that's it. He came back on Raw and got his heat, and he took out Corbin on Raw, which is almost like you almost should have did that with the match then.
Yeah.
It's not usually how you go out, but whatever. It's fine. Corbin has been a good heel. He's been a good heel. Obviously, people hate him, but it's actually good heel heat. It's not it's not like X-Pac heat. It's actually, they don't like the heel character.
Sure.
So it's fine. He's been fine. But I don't know what they do with him now. Lashley versus Finn Balor was fine. It was 4 minutes only. Wow, they gave more minutes to Corbin versus Angle.
I was about to be like, did I watch that match? I'm like, no, I did. It was just very, very short.
Here's the issue with this shit, is that this would have been a big deal, but Balor already beat him for the title, a month ago. So, like, why did you do that and then lose it back to win it again at WrestleMania? Just have the long chase for a couple of months. Why do you do this shit? Like, why do you book it like this? Why? WrestleMania is supposed to be special, not going back and forth 50-50 feuds.
Yeah.
It wasted the Demon. The Demon only comes out like once a year, right? And then and Lashley's been great as a heel, by the way. He stunk as a face coming in, and they realized that he's been great as a heel. So he's been done wonders as a heel. He'll probably be the other big guy they can elevate. as well, but he's not good on the mic at all, so it's kind of tough. He's imposing looking, he has charisma, but the mic work is shaky.
All right, so it's time for the main event because we're getting as long in the tooth as Triple H matches.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Triple H, God. All right, so I tweet out, I thought the ending was terrible. I thought the match was good. I thought it was a good match.
I thought the match was good. I thought it was better than what I expected it to be because I really wanted it to just be one-on-one. But
yes,
but seeing Charlotte's involvement in there gave it some better heat, gave it some better
cohesiveness
and action in the ring. I don't know that.
Yeah, Rousey probably couldn't do a 20-minute match.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that Rousey could have. I don't know that Lynch could have carried Rousey to a WrestleMania match if it was just the two of them.
And Rousey's been pretty good in the ring. She's done great in this year in the ring. She looks legit. She has a lot of the psychology down and things like that. But yeah, I don't think she could carry a 20-minute match.
It would have been too one-sided. It would have been too much.
Or you would see the seams more in her work.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what Charlotte did. It really kind of smoothed that out. So in the end, I don't think that was the worst addition.
But I still think it would have been better Becky just versus Rousey.
Sure.
And I don't care if it was a main event. You can do it second match before the main event and do it like a 12-minute match or 10-minute match, and it might have been the better payoff for this. They decided to combine the titles. I don't know, winner take all. I don't know what they're thinking about, or having the women.
I like unification of titles.
Then why have separate brands then at that point?
Well, for them, I'm thinking maybe they aren't going to.
For the women,
yeah,
they'll just have the one tag title and have them both on both shows.
Yeah, and you could do them on both shows.
Maybe they thought about that. Maybe they said it's not worth splitting off the women's roster. There's not enough talent to go around. They're probably right. There isn't enough talent to go around to have two separate rosters. There probably isn't. To be honest, there's probably like 6 to 7 really good wrestlers between both rosters.
I'd say that there's probably more than that, but still.
I'm not really good. I mean, like, could headline a pay-per-view.
Sure.
Like people like Naomi are fine. I don't know if they should be headlining big pay-per-views.
No.
Yeah.
But let's get to the ending since that's the part that
really bothered me. So the ending is Charlotte's out of the ring. She goes for Ronda goes for her Samoa drop, Piper's pit move against Becky. Becky counters into a crucifix pin. Ronda's shoulders come up at the 1 count. They go back down for 2 and 3. And then immediately, even the announcers are like, "Oh, I don't know if she really got pinned, Ronda. What's going on?" Ronda gets up immediately and is like, "What happened?" After she got up. So they were questioning Becky winning legitimately the title in the main event immediately, and I just had flashbacks to Hogan versus Sting at Starrcade.
Sure.
With it was supposed to be a fast count, and Nick Patrick, the ref, supposedly screwed up, and it wasn't a fast count, or Hogan told them behind the scenes not to do it. Bret Hart, so it was a semi-cluster because of that, and it wasn't clean. And to me, it put a whole damper on Becky winning. To me.
I don't know. It seems as of Monday that they've written that off.
So the question is whether or not it was a botch that Rousey screwed up, or Becky in doing the crucifix pin.
I'm almost 100% sure it was Rousey botching it.
Then they shouldn't. Then it should have been acknowledged at all by the announcers. They should have just steamrolled past it.
But I'm trying.
But even Rousey's reaction was like, "What happened?" Like it was not. It did not look right.
Sure. But they've seemed to write it off. I mean, I'm just trying to look at this match as a whole. I'm trying to look at the positive. I have no issue with the crucifix finish. If you eliminate the doubt from the end of that, and if they've really written it off, I think it's a fine match. I think it was very good. The crucifix finish does not bother me at all. I like quick finishes like that. I don't think it's necessary that you have to do it clean in the middle of the ring on your first main event to do it. Also, I mean, the reversal finish shows that they're scrappy. It shows that they're smart. And we've also got WrestleMania 3 with Savage and Steamboat. That ended with a roll-up.
Wasn't the main event.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
no, it does. Here's why. This is supposed to be WrestleMania main events are supposed to be the star-making moments. They're supposed to be definitively, this is the face. Becky Lynch has been, for the past 6 months, the face of the company before they decided to throw dampers on things. Have her show up in crutches every week and get her ass kicked.
Sure.
Have Charlotte go into the main event. This is shit, and I have to do the analog to Stone Cold. They would never have pulled this stuff with someone like Stone Cold back then because I realized this is going to be the next star.
That's fair.
So when Stone Cold beat Shawn Michaels, it was by the stunner in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania.
Sure.
He's the new guy.
Right.
He's carrying us going forward. Ronda Rousey could have made someone a bigger star by tapping out to Lynch in the middle of the ring.
That's true.
It would have been that much. Think about that. How much that. And Ronda's going away reportedly. I think that to maybe have a child and focus on family for a bit. You wasted now her making someone a bigger star as much as you possibly could. And maybe I'm being greedy when it comes to this stuff, but that's what I wanted to see. I want to see that moment because think about how much bigger it would have been. Ronda Rousey gets tapped out by another wrestler. The mixed martial arts gets tapped out by Lynch. Now she's a badass. A crucifix pin. That's not a badass ending. I'm sorry, it's not. That's a technical, fine ending to a match. That's not, I'm the badass. I'm the man. She's calling herself the man. You're going to call yourself the man in storyline mode from a crucifix pin that's now disputed, whether or not it was a botch or not? Lukewarm to me. I'm sorry.
Doesn't seem like it's disputed anymore, though.
but you can't go back and watch it even. It can't even be a classic moment.
I don't know. I can watch that match and enjoy it. What I wanted what I wanted him to happen was Lynch to win. And honestly, the fact that we even got the winner that we would want from WWE at this point, I'm just not going to.
You're just happy that
I'm just not going to. I mean, okay. WWE is going to fuck it up any way they can.
They already fucked it up by putting Charlotte in the match, and I understand why.
I felt like it was a amusing match that was fine. It was better than most of the matches on the card.
But there you have it. That's WrestleMania, and I think that's one of the problems is that it was just most of it was just fine. So.
Yeah.